Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our week 2 masterclass Zoom. Welcome. We've got Mitzi. Hi, ladies. Thank you for finding the chat. If you want to say good morning in the chat, just so we know who everybody is, where you're joining us from. I'm here in dreary Longwood, Florida this morning, but still hot. So I told Denise and Becca, the others that were on early, that we're getting a cool front. And it's going to be high in the 70s tomorrow. So I'm going to break out my winter coat. Hope everybody's having a great week and hope you had a chance to take the little quiz. I posted it yesterday on the page, the masterclass page, the Bird personality quiz. Those of you that are managers and above are familiar with this because it's from my favorite lady ever at the moment, Mary Christensen's book, Be a Direct Selling Superstar. But then I have also recently picked up her Be a Recruiting Superstar book, and she actually goes a little bit further with the birds in that book. So I'm going to give you, so even if you've read the green book, you might get a little bit more depth to the personalities. So I actually sat down to write this particular training yesterday, and I was planning to talk about organizational systems, because if I had $1 for every time somebody was like, I need help getting organized, Denise is nodding her head, I need help because that seems to be the thing that I struggle the most with, and time management, organizational systems, and so that's what I sat down to start this talk about. Last week we kind of laid a foundation of leadership is a crazy choice, but a crazy good choice. And, that it's kind of going into it with the expectation that it's going to be work. It's going to be hard work sometimes, but it's really, really incredibly rewarding and wonderful work. That was kind of my intention for last week. And then this week I was like, well, I'll go ahead and start getting into some nuts and bolts. But I realized that, that personality types and knowing yourself and how you work and how the women on your team work is incredibly important for building in those organizational systems. The two actually go hand in hand. And so I sort of dialed it back for a minute because I was thinking, direct selling is an incredible business model, but what it requires of the person who's starting the direct selling business is that you kind of do everything. You have to literally be a jack of all trades. You have to be able to do sales. You have to be able to do good customer service and serve your customers and your hostesses. For some, you choose to be in a leadership role. You have to do all your own administration. So you have to be boss, secretary, receptionist. You have to clean your office. You literally do every element of your business. And depending on your personality type, some of those things will be more enjoyable than others. That's just the truth. And it doesn't mean that you're good at something or bad at something. It's just the nature of this business model requires you to be the jack of all trades, and not everybody is. So you got to give yourself a break. When you know who you are and what your strengths are and what you're good at and what you enjoy, and then you also kind of know the tasks that you avoid and the areas where you might struggle, when you put it in a little bit more of an objective framework, like this is my personality type, this is actually the way that God made me, and it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean I stink at this or I can't succeed at this. It just means I might need to give myself a little bit of a break and focus on this a little bit more, or ask for help if I need help. And so I really think that having a greater sense of your own personality, what drives you, what motivates you, helps you utilize the strengths that you have and then minimize the shortcomings. You've got to give yourself tons of grace, and if you don't enjoy one element or even a couple different elements of this business, it doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. And I want you to hear that, because there's women on your team that are going to say the same thing. Well, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Well, no, we have a wide range of tasks we need to accomplish when we own our own business, but that doesn't mean that we're not cut out for it if one or two elements or a few of the elements make us a little nervous or we don't love doing, and that's completely okay. So just as important as it is to understand yourself and give yourself that grace, then you can also understand other people, how they're made, and help draw on their unique talents, and then, you know, overcome their potential limitations because you've kind of been through that yourself. So I think that it's a really important thing. Last year at our first directors retreat, we went through a DISC profile, which I know Tracy Fountain is really familiar. Some of you might be familiar with the DISC profile. It's a really interesting personality test, gets into, it's really only 4 main personality types, but we went through a pretty extensive DISC profile and then had a huge like notebook report that was given to us and then kind of broke it down. And what was so wonderful about that weekend, it was the first time I had ever dug into a personality test in regards to my business, to think about how I function as a leader and in my business. Even something like the pace that you move. I move at a very fast pace, and I never thought about some personalities and some people just don't move at that pace, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way that they are made. And so it helped me as a leader understand, like, I'll never forget that weekend. Like, certain people popped into my head that had been causing me some frustration and struggles. It was like, oh my gosh, they're totally an S. You know, they move slowly and they have, you know, this different kind of processing, and they're a more relationship, whereas I'm more I and D. I'm dominant. I'm moving very fast. I'm, you know, and so there was potential clashing, but that doesn't mean that I can't adapt and work with any kind of personality and also understand how they might be perceiving me. This is not a DISC profile. Mary Christensen's birds are a little bit simpler, sweeter, easier to delve into. But I do think that along this journey as a leader, you learn a lot about psychology. You learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about yourself. I mean, I've said before that direct selling is a personal growth business, and this is just one more piece of it. So I hope it was kind of fun to take the quiz. Somebody said, Thecla said she has a split personality. I did too. I was completely split between 2 of the birds. So pretty much, and I'm going to have you share in the comments or in the chat. So it's like a Cosmo quiz. Like, this isn't, you know, rocket science. So don't like invest your whole life into this. But depending on which letter choice you chose the most, that's your dominant trait. So if you had mostly A's or mostly B's, and then if you split, you might be an actual like kind of dual bird. And let's see, and if you kind of picked everything all over the board, then you're probably an A, which is a peacock. So I'm going to tell you what the choices are, and then you can drop into the chat what your bird type is, and then we're going to talk about everybody. Judgment-free zone. Okay, like, don't be like, oh, I'm an owl, that means I'm different. No, everybody is exactly the way that you're supposed to be. So okay. So Spring already knows she's a major B, which is a dove. Okay, so if you're mostly A's, then that is an expressive peacock. So mostly A's, you're a peacock. Mostly B's, you are the empathetic dove. All right, so once I say yours, you can throw it out there. So, all right, so I'll tell you what the tie means. Mostly C's, you are a friendly robin, which is a friendly social robin. Mostly D's is a guarded wren. Mostly E's is an ambitious eagle. Mostly F's is an analytical owl. Mostly G's is, there's a couple different words for it. We'll call it unconventional ostrich for mostly G's. And mostly H's is a timid swan. So somebody said they were an A, a tie between A and H, which is interesting because those are kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum. A's are peacocks and H's are swans. So 4 C's, 5 A's. So Emma, you're definitely a peacock robin, and I can see that. That's very much you. Between A and C, yep. Peacocks and robins. No, that's fun. You light up a room, you're spunky, but then you're also like super friendly and you like the group setting and you're social and, you know, yeah. Okay. No, nobody. Denise, you were everything? A little bit of everything. So you probably are a peacock. which is a colorful personality. So just own that. So Thecla, you are mostly C's, you're a friendly Robin. Anybody an E or an F or a G? I'm just seeing what we got. I'm curious. I quizzed the Love Rising team as well, so I can't wait to go back and talk to them about it. Yeah, it's okay. You can be mostly C with a lot of A. Yep, I can see that, Thecla. Okay, so let me go a little bit further into, yeah, Peacock is A. So let me go a little bit further into some descriptors of these, and you can kind of think about yourself. Oh, Mitzi really broke it down. Mitzi, you're mostly a dove. I can see that. Yeah, Mitzi, I kind of agree with your results. I think you know who you are. Okay, so let's talk about these. People can be defined into these bird classifications. And I think the bird thing is fun because it's a quick way to sort of reference, like as you're talking to somebody, you're like, ooh, I'm feeling a lot of owl from this one, because some of the birds are a little more challenging. But if you can recognize these personality types, you can really work with people better. So A's are expressive peacocks. They're driven by the need for attention and recognition. Some peacocks have sort of a short attention span, like they're sort of all over the place. They're not great with details, but they love people and they love mentoring. Peacocks are definitely like, when you're talking to them about the business, they get excited about, the formal night, and they get excited about, the rewards and the recognition they're all, peacocks they're not going to miss a retreat, and they've got their dress picked out months in advance. I am a lot of peacock, and I own that, and it's fun. Right? Yeah. Dancing, very social, can be extreme, which I don't think anybody in this group is, but that's your A, your peacocks. B's are conservative or empathetic doves. And I was noticing on my Love Rising team page, a lot of people were putting up that they were predominantly B's. I think a lot of women that are in Trades of Hope have a lot of this B personality type. You're driven by a need to contribute and to be valued. Doves are good listeners. They tend to avoid conflict, and they can actually be very vulnerable to being taken advantage of. They're a very gentle bird. They sometimes have a hard time saying no, and so they tend to overextend themselves. Now, this is where I know that I am not a dove. I am very empathetic, and I consider myself learning to be a better listener every day. But I'm really good at saying no and not feeling guilty about like choosing the things that I want to do and saying no. But I am surrounded by women, and I'm sure you are too in your life, that say yes to everything. They volunteer themselves. If nobody raises their hand to do something at some kind of committee or meeting or whatever, then okay, Jessica will do it. And I look at them and I think, oh, bless your heart, you can say no. But doves sometimes just can't, and they overextend themselves because they love people and want to serve so much, and they want to contribute and be valued. Sometimes a dove can sacrifice her own goals for somebody else. So, if you have doves on your team, that you see are sacrificing what they want for the good of the team in a way that's disheartening to them, or actually kind of dampering their fire, you want to help reach out to that and support those doves. So B's are doves. C's are the friendly robins. And again, a lot of friendly robins on the team. Friendly robins are driven by the need for approval and acceptance. They love being a part of a group. Robins are cheerful, they're optimistic, they love to contribute to the team. They respond well to peer pressure because they really value other people's opinions, and they kind of like want to know what everybody else is doing. And then once they feel like, okay, everybody else is doing this, then it must be a good thing, and I'm gonna go for it. They are very, very loyal, very dependable, and they'll follow the example that the leader sets. You probably have a lot of robins on your team, and if you are a robin, that's a wonderful quality and social being to be in terms of direct sales and leading a team. Sometimes robins don't trust their own opinions and their own, decision making as leaders. So if you are a Robin and really strong C, know that that's going to be something you want to kind of watch out for. Like, I got to trust myself on this. I don't always have to get total approval from everybody else before I move forward with something that I feel I want to do. So word of caution for you Robins, trust yourself. D's. Now, I don't think we had anybody with a ton of the D. So the D is the cautious or guarded Wren. Wrens are driven by the need for security and survival, and they are not particularly social outside of their family. Wrens are very private. They like routine. They are homemakers, and they never disappoint the people that count on them. You can always count on the Wren to be there for her family and her close friends and her close circles. Wrens can be amazing at this business once they decide to commit to it. And they truly can be astounding. Sometimes Wrens struggle with the relationship aspect, and because they tend to be guarded and private, it might be harder for them to grow a team or to connect with women as they go into leadership. So if you see a Wren on your team, or you're coaching a Wren, or you are a Wren, recognize that you might need to kind of push yourself out of that personality comfort zone to build relationships outside of your kind of tight-knit core group. I definitely know some Wrens on this team. I've interacted with them. E is the ambitious eagle. Anybody eagle? So I'm a peacock and an eagle all day long. So don't judge, but I'm an ambitious eagle. I'm driven by the need for status and power, which not really, but like, I am very ambitious and driven. I make decisions very quickly. I'm talking about myself. I'm not going to use the first person. Eagles make decisions very quickly. But they also delegate well. They don't love small talk. That's how I know I'm definitely an eagle. They're confident, charismatic, assertive, persuasive, and charming. They recruit well, and they have very high expectations, but they also walk the talk. They are the most self-motivated of all birds. Now, don't think to yourself, oh, wow, that sounds great. Being an ambitious eagle can actually be really hard as a leader, because I know this because I know this is who I am. I am extremely self-motivated, to the point where I sometimes can't understand why somebody won't do something just intrinsically. It's like, well, why do I have to get involved? Why don't they just want to do this? And so as a leader, I've had to really learn about working with people who are not as self-motivated, or need that confidence boost, or need to trust, like a friendly Robin, like need to know that, okay, this is what the group is doing. Great. This is going to work. And I feel confident now to do it. So, you're going to see a lot of, quite a few ambitious eagles, and you just got to let them soar. Anybody have F? Vicious eagle. No, ambitious. Okay, Fs are analytical owls. And it's funny because Chelsea, one of our beautiful founders, has a lot of analytical owl in her. She's like an owl peacock. Owls have a need for knowledge and understanding. So maybe you have a woman on your team, or you are this person where they ask a lot of questions. They need to know, well, why, and tell me more, and I need details. There's a poem, "The wise old owl sat on the oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that wise bird?" So the owl, actually, there's a lot to wanting the details and wanting to understand the depth of why something is happening. And frankly, shutting your own mouth to listen to what's going on around you. Owls are very calm. They're very patient. They're observant. They're interested in and motivated by details. So this is a struggle for somebody like me who's not interested in details. I just want to go. And there's a lot of owls, or women with owl tendencies, on our team, and probably on your team, and maybe a little bit of you, that might get frustrated with that. Like, well, tell me the details, or slow down, or, if you are an owl, you have a tidy sock drawer, the balance of your checking account, you are motivated by organization, and you might actually need help with people skills. Owls also, kind of like the wrens, kind of underestimate the importance of relationships and communication. But owls can be wonderful at this business. They just need a little bit of nurturing, and you know, they take time to build that trust, but once they do, they can soar. Unconventional ostriches, or G, these are people, this is an interesting bird. They kind of thrive on uncertainty and indecision. They want to fit in. They tend to be a little bit hazy on like what they want to do in Trades of Hope, but they just really like it, and they like everybody, and it's fun, but they're kind of disorganized. They might have a messy house. They're a little bit over trusting of people. They are procrastinators. They might make a list, but then they lose it. You know, everybody's got like a little bit of ostrich in them. But some people are the extreme form of this. And, you know, people might be popping into your head as I'm describing this bird. If you are predominantly an ostrich and you're working towards leadership, it's possible, but it's going to take a little bit of reining in, and it's getting yourself a good mentor and being really accountable and understanding that your tendency is more just like, you know, fly by the seat of your pants and, you know, scratching the list and then losing it somewhere along the way. But ostriches are wonderful. We all know one or two. And then the final one, the H, is the restrained swan. And the swans are motivated by personal growth. And that's why I put the picture I did on the post for this call of the swan, because the swan, she wants to grow, and she's got big dreams, but low self-esteem, or she's very unsure of herself. Swans see the best in others, but have a really hard time taking a compliment. Swans are like totally magical, because they are living proof that this business, that direct sales can absolutely change somebody's life. They represent the best of what this business is about, and they become amazing role models and inspire others. Because swans start off as ugly ducklings, right? And they truly blossom into beautiful creatures that inspire and motivate others through the process of personal growth. When you find a swan, you have found something really amazing on your team, and you can nurture her, and you can build belief into her. And we've all got, I think, a little bit of swan in us, because we all want to grow. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't want growth and you weren't motivated by personal growth. So, you know, and we all have those moments where we don't take a compliment well, or, you know, whatever it is. So there's a little swan in all of us. So to me, that's like the overarching bird that we're all aspiring to be, that we are all trying to kind of growing into, to that beautiful swan. And that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of, you know, showing up and digging in and knowing yourself and trusting and believing. So what's great about knowing yourself, and I think it's obviously a journey, and like I said before, it also sort of depends what hat you're wearing. You know, I'm an eagle and a peacock in some situations, but I'm definitely, you know, depending on which group I'm in, I can fit the mold of the birds and get real quiet, or get, you know, just depending on how comfortable I am in a situation, or uncomfortable. But I think it's also so valuable when you know who you are, but then also to know how to talk to the people on your team, maybe in a different way when you're having a one-on-one, or you're coaching, or even having a team meeting. You know, when a peacock is talking to an owl, she needs to tone it down a little bit. You know, owls are not impressed by fast talking and expressive enthusiasm. You need to have your facts ready. You need to pause a lot and give owls time to process. And that doesn't come naturally for a peacock. So again, if we're in the business of serving others, and we want to be great sponsors and mentors and coaches for the women on our team, and we want to be great influential leaders, sometimes you have to modify the way that you naturally are to best serve the person that you're talking to. And for a peacock, that sometimes means shutting your mouth. But if an owl is talking to somebody about the opportunity, she needs to recognize that the person she's talking to is glazing over because she wants to talk about every intricate detail of the comp plan and, and fair trade. And she wants to go, on and on and on about the amazing details of the work that we do that excite her, but might not be exciting to the person that she's talking to, because they're coming from a totally different mindset, and they're motivated by something completely different. So an owl also needs to be prepared to stop talking and to start asking questions. When an eagle is talking to a dove or a robin, she needs to remember that she might be kind of scary. So, these are things that are kind of fun, but also really real. I mean, these are birds, but they're right on, I think, for a lot of the types of women that you're going to meet and the types of women that will come into your team. Knowing the birds in your flock is incredibly powerful. And so if you have a downline, a little team, I don't care how big or small they are, share this quiz with them. I uploaded the file, so you should be able to save it. You can send it in a little message thread, and you can talk about, the kinds of birds you have in your flock and what motivates people. And I think that there's a lot of power in that. Identifying, all the different strengths that people bring to the table. Your team is going to be a mixture of delightful and demanding, of doers and of ditherers, and some people that you work with will be downright difficult. But if you're experiencing more, challenges with the people on your team, all that means is that you're doing the right thing and you're heading in the right direction, because you're growing your team. And so it's actually, the more your sanity is tested, the better. So sorry, it's just true. There are other birds that you just don't want to sponsor and you want to be on the lookout for. Cuckoos. These are crazy, lazy birds who, just are users and abusers, and you don't want to work with them because they're going to be really demanding of your time, because they're not going to want to do anything, but they just want to talk to you. So don't work with cuckoos. Vultures are extremely greedy. Crows are bullies, and they exploit others. Just look out for those birds, because the bigger Trades of Hope becomes, the more chances that birds like that will fly into our flock. And so you want to be on guard for that. You don't want lazy, greedy, exploitive bullies on your team. So the cuckoos, the vultures, and the crows can take flight. And then the last bird is the turkey. It's not actually a personality type, but that's just anybody who, when you ask them if they want to be a compassionate entrepreneur, doesn't want to talk to you about it. So anybody that tells you no, you can just be like, oh, they're a turkey. But don't really say that to them. They're not really turkeys. But I think it's just kind of a fun thing to talk about. And so now we can take these bird personalities and talk about how you then work and how you create systems based on kind of your strengths, and how you are motivated. So that's going to be our topic for next week. We're going to go into a little bit more of organizational systems, and because I know how I work, but it might not necessarily jive with how you work. So I'm going to share systems and ideas, but then you need to always kind of take it into account that you might be better or enjoy some things more because of the way that you're made. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, it doesn't mean that you're bad at something or not good, or not cut out for this. You're all cut out for this. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And I am so glad you watched live. And so, so thank you for being on today. Thank you for sharing your bird types. And I hope this was fun. I'm going to stop the recording. But you don't have to disappear. All right. Thank you, guys.